You open your phone for one quick thing. Maybe you want to reply to a message. Maybe you want to check the weather. Maybe you are waiting for the kettle to boil. Then, somehow, 20 minutes disappear. You have watched strangers argue. You know what happened to a celebrity you do not care about. You have seen 3 disasters, 5 ads, and a video of a dog wearing tiny shoes. And you still have not checked the weather. The strange part is that you did not even enjoy most of it. You feel more tired than before, a little anxious, a little guilty, and somehow less able to do the thing you actually wanted to do. That is doom scrolling. And if you have ever told yourself, I just need more self-control, this video is for you. Because doom scrolling is not a personal failure. It is not proof that you are lazy, weak, or addicted to your phone in some dramatic way. It is a predictable loop. Your brain is doing exactly what brains do when they are offered endless novelty, tiny bursts of reward, and the possibility that the next swipe might finally show something important. The good news is that you do not need to throw your phone into the ocean or become the kind of person who owns a lockbox for every app. You need to understand the loop. Then you can break it in a way that actually fits real life. By the end of this video, you will have a simple system to make scrolling less automatic, less draining, and much easier to stop. First, let us look at why your finger keeps moving even when your brain has already had enough. Most apps are built around one powerful question. What if the next thing is better? The next post could be useful. The next video could be funny. The next headline could explain something important. The next message could be from someone you care about. Most of the time, the next thing is not better, but sometimes it is, and that sometimes is exactly what keeps you there. If every video were boring, you would leave. If every post were amazing, you would probably get bored eventually too. What keeps you scrolling is uncertainty. Your brain gets a small reward from checking, not because every swipe is great, but because every swipe has potential. It is a bit like pulling a lever and hoping something interesting happens. And when your day is stressful, boring, lonely, or overwhelming, that tiny promise of relief becomes even more tempting. Scrolling asks almost nothing from you. You do not have to decide much. You do not have to risk failing. You do not have to sit with an uncomfortable thought. You just move your thumb. That is why doom scrolling often starts when you are avoiding something else. A difficult email, a pile of laundry, a decision you do not want to make. 5 quiet minutes alone with your own thoughts. The phone is not always the problem. Sometimes it is just the fastest exit door. That matters because it changes the solution. If you only try to force yourself to stop, you are fighting the last part of the loop. A better approach is to make the loop harder to start and easier to leave. Here is the first step. Create friction before you scroll. Friction is anything that gives your brain 1 extra second to notice what it is doing. Right now, opening a social app might take less than a second. Your finger knows exactly where it is. You tap it before you have even made a conscious choice. So, change the path. Move the app off your home screen. Put it in a folder with a name that makes you pause. Something simple, like, is this what I meant to do? Turn off every notification that is not genuinely useful. Not just the sound. The badge numbers, too. Those red circles are tiny, unfinished tasks. They make your brain feel like something is waiting for you. If possible, log out of the app once a day. Yes, it is mildly annoying. That is the point. You do not need a giant wall between you and your phone. You need a speed bump. The goal is not to make social media impossible to use. The goal is to stop using it by accident. A small pause gives you a choice, and choices are where control comes back. The second step is to stop treating all scrolling as the same thing. There is a difference between choosing to watch something for 20 minutes and falling into an endless feed for 20 minutes. One is intentional, the other is automatic. So give yourself scroll windows. Maybe it is 15 minutes after lunch. Maybe it is half an hour in the evening. Maybe it is while you are on the train. The exact time does not matter as much as the rule. When you decide in advance, you are no longer negotiating with yourself every 5 minutes. You already made the decision when your brain was calm. This is important because doom scrolling loves vague rules. I will just check for a second. I will stop after this one. I should probably not be on here. None of these tells your brain what to do next. A scroll window does. It says, not now, later. And later works much better than never. If you tell yourself you can never scroll again, your brain will immediately act like you are being punished. But if you know there is a time for it, you do not have to grab every possible moment. The third step is the one most people skip. Replace the moment after the urge. Because if your phone is currently your fastest source of relief, removing it creates an empty space. And empty spaces are hard when you are tired. You need a tiny replacement that is easier than scrolling. Not a perfect new hobby. Not a 10-step morning routine. Something almost too small to resist. When you catch yourself reaching for your phone, try one of these instead. Stand up and get a glass of water. Walk to the window and look outside for 30 seconds. Write one sentence about what you are avoiding. Put on one song and listen without opening another app. Send one real message to one real person. Do 10 slow breaths. Not because breathing fixes everything, but because it interrupts autopilot. The replacement is not supposed to entertain you better than the internet. Nothing will win that competition every single time. The replacement has a different job. It gives your nervous system a small reset. It gives you a moment to ask, what do I actually need right now? Sometimes the answer is rest. Sometimes it is connection. Sometimes it is food, water, movement, or sleep. And sometimes you are simply trying to avoid a feeling. That is normal. The goal is not to become someone who never avoids discomfort. The goal is to notice it before a whole evening disappears. Now, let us talk about your feed, because not all feeds are equally difficult to leave. If your feed is full of outrage, bad news, comparison, arguments, and things designed to make you feel behind, of course you will feel worse after using it. Your attention is being trained by what you repeatedly give it. So edit your feed like you would edit your room. Keep what you actually want around you. Mute accounts that make you angry but do not teach you anything useful. Unfollow people who make you feel like your life is constantly behind schedule. Be especially careful with accounts that make you anxious and keep you coming back for updates. You do not have to know everything the second it happens. The world will still be there if you learn about something an hour later. Add more things that leave you better than they found you. People who make you laugh without making you compare yourself. Useful tutorials. Art. Friends. Topics you genuinely care about. This will not turn social media into a spa day, but it changes the emotional price of opening the app. And it makes it easier to notice when you have had enough. There is one more part of doomscrolling that is easy to miss. Sometimes you are not scrolling because the content is interesting. You are scrolling because stopping feels uncomfortable. The moment you put the phone down, your brain gets quiet enough to remember the task waiting for you, or the decision, or the feeling. That is why the end of a scroll session can feel strangely difficult. You are not just leaving an app. You are returning to your life. So make the landing easier. Before you put your phone down, ask one small question. What is the next physical thing I need to do? Not, how do I fix my whole life? Just the next physical thing. Open the laptop. Put the plate in the sink. Take a shower. Reply to the first line of the email. Put your shoes on. When the next action is clear, your brain does not have to search for a plan. It can move. This is also why scrolling is most dangerous when you are between tasks. After work, before bed, before starting something difficult, during a break with no clear end. Those are the moments to prepare for. Put your phone in another room during the first 10 minutes of a task. Charge it away from your bed. Decide what your break will look like before you start working. A break can be a walk, a snack, music, stretching, or doing absolutely nothing for 5 minutes. It does not have to be productive. It just needs an ending. Now, do not try to change everything today. Pick one change that creates friction. Move the app. Turn off notifications. Log out. Then pick one scroll window. And finally, choose one replacement for the moment you usually reach for your phone. That is enough to begin. Because the real win is not becoming a person who never scrolls. The real win is noticing that you have a choice before the scroll chooses for you. Your attention is valuable, not because every minute has to be productive, but because your life is made out of those minutes. You deserve to decide where they go. So, the next time you open your phone for one quick thing, pause for 1 second. Ask yourself what you came here for. Do that thing, then leave. That is how you stop doom scrolling. Just made simple.